You won't believe what happened last night. Kyle Dubas fleecing the St. Louis Blues, addressing one big concern for Mike Sullivan's boys and bringing back a familiar face that Penguins fans already know and love. We got to break it down for you today on Penguins Digest. A huge trade happened last night, and there may be more trades to come. So we're going to talk about the trade that already happened, trades that could still happen, and we're going to break down tonight's matchup against the Nashville Predators today on Penguins Digest. So get ready for a heated episode. First and foremost, you better subscribe to the channel if you want the latest news on the Pittsburgh Penguins. We got you covered here on Penguins Digest. Hit that sub button, and I will provide everything relating to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's jump right into it here, guys. We got a Kyle Dubas masterclass last night. He is known for pulling off these crazy trades that no one would see coming, and I didn't see this coming at all, but we got a guy that we already know, that we already love, that we desperately needed, shore up that defense, and the man that's going to do it for us is P.O. Joseph. Let's look at the trade. Nothing. We give up nothing. Kyle Dubas traded nothing for P.O. Joseph. Future considerations, man, that might be nothing. It sounds like nothing to me. So we get a free defenseman that we already know can play. He's a heck of a player. He struggled in St. Louis, but just look at that graphic. It's beautiful. I've been calling for another defenseman to shore up this back end. It's been the biggest problem for the Penguins all season, and now guess who is going to fill that hole for the Pittsburgh Penguins? It is P.O. Joseph. I never saw this coming. I will be completely honest with you. I had a whole show planned of all the defensemen that I would like to see Dubas go out and get, and to be honest, P.O. Joseph wasn't on that list. I love it. I'm happy about it. He's a good depth piece. I'm not saying he's going to plug right in and play. He should. But overall, I'm just happy with shoring up the back end, prevent those high-danger chances that have been getting the Penguins in trouble lately. P.O. Joseph's a solid defenseman, man. I'm actually really happy about this move. I think he'll fit right in. We know he does. We already know he has chemistry with the guys. He played a heck of a lot better in Pittsburgh than he played since he left. So I'm happy to have him back. I'm really excited about this move for Dubas. Again, giving up nothing. Future considerations to me is nothing. But yeah, so P.O. Joseph is back on the Penguins. We were wondering what the big blockbuster trade was going to be. I still think there's more trades to come. I don't think Kyle Dubas is done making moves. Obviously, we have to deal with the transaction freeze that's about to occur over the holidays. But I do think Kyle Dubas is going to be active after that freeze is over and continue to try to bring in more players. I didn't expect that many trades to happen last night, but I am happy that we got P.O. And yeah, let's dive into other players that I think we could go out there and get. The main need for the Penguins right now is defensemen. So I'm going to talk about different defensemen that are on the trade block right now that I think could be a fit in Pittsburgh. Based on salaries, obviously that's a big concern because we are pressed up against the cap pretty good. We have to really focus on guys that we could get in a trade where maybe we trade away Kevin Hayes to free up some salary cap space and bring in a defenseman. That would be a better allocation of our funds and of our salary. So I feel like if we trade Kevin Hayes or maybe another piece away, free up some of that cap space, Ryan Graves preferably, I'd love to see him traded away, and then bring in another defenseman would be awesome. So let's just dive into what defenseman I actually am talking about, because there's a lot of really good defensemen that I think we could bring in. So the first guy that I found was Vincent Desharnais. Now, he is a defensive defenseman, a hulking defenseman is the description there, not being paid a whole lot. He's been decent for the Vancouver Canucks, good penalty killer, good shot blocker. He brings this physical presence that would fit well on the team. Penguins need more guys like that. I think he'd be a good fit for the Pens. He's not too expensive. I don't think you'd have to give up that much to get him from our old GM, Jim Rutherford, and the Vancouver Canucks. They got plenty of defensemen up there, and I think he'd be better suited for us. I think he's a better version of Ryan Graves, you know, that defensive defenseman. Ryan Graves has not been the defensive defenseman that the Penguins needed him to be when they signed him. It was a good signing by Kyle Dubas, from what we expected of Ryan Graves, but he has not been anything. He has not done anything for this team. So bring in another defensive defenseman, take his spot, get Graves the heck out of there, and Vincent Desharnais could be that guy. I'm going to show you multiple right shot defensemen and multiple left shot defensemen out of the 5 guys that I'm about to show you. So stay tuned with all of these different guys that I think we could bring in. Desharnais is just the first of these 5. So then we move to the next one, and that is Mario Ferraro. Now, Ferraro is another really good defenseman. He's still young. He's on the San Jose Sharks, which means immediately he is available. Yeah, so he is on the trade block. He's not got a crazy salary. Again, left shot defenseman. I think he could be a good impact player for the Penguins, good like second or third line defenseman. None of these guys are first line defensemen that I'm going to talk about, other than one of them that could be a first line defenseman. But out of these 5 guys, 4 of them are pretty much just depth pieces. We don't need some superstar defenseman. We got Karlsson and Letang. We just need a defenseman to shore up the defense, somebody that can can be a depth piece that can just shut down opponents' best players. And we don't have a defenseman that can do that and keep other players from entering the danger zone. We're constantly giving up these crazy scoring chances. We need defensemen that can go in there, make an impact on the game, and help us to prevent that and put our goalie in a better position to succeed. So that's really what I'm going after here. And the next guy is another San Jose Sharks defenseman and a familiar face to Penguins fans, Cody Ceci. You see that Kyle Dubas is not afraid of bringing in old Penguins, and a couple of the guys on this list are old Penguins, including Cody Ceci. I liked Cody Ceci. A lot of people didn't, but I'm a fan of Cody Ceci. He's a defensive defenseman. He's the type of guy we need in there. Right shot defenseman. I think he would fit. I think he's a better option than what we have right now. If he's our third pairing defenseman, I like that, right? You talk about the guys we have right now. Obviously, Karlsson's not going anywhere. Letang's not going anywhere. I think Owen Pickering might be here to stay. I'd actually prefer to maybe develop him a little bit more in the AHL, maybe make him like the seventh guy heading into the playoffs, but let him play all those minutes at Wilkes-Barre and continue to develop. Obviously, when Pettersson comes back, I think he goes right back in the lineup and takes Pickering's spot. I would like to see Pickering get more time in the NHL while Pettersson is hurt, but as soon as Pettersson comes back, I would shift Pickering back down to the AHL and have more proven veteran guys in there that can really lock it down. I'm not saying Pickering hasn't done that. He's been good, but I just need a little bit more secure defensemen, maybe defensive guys, and I think Cody Ceci, Vincent Desharnais, Mario Ferraro, and the two other guys I'm going to mention would be better suited as we move to the next one, which is Bowen Byram. Now, this is a little bit higher on the wish list as far as what we'd have to give up to get him, but I think Byram would be a really good pickup for the Penguins. He's an awesome player. I've loved him since he was in Colorado. I think he'd be a great fit. He's still young. Obviously, the Sabres made a swap to get him in the first place. Casey Middlestad, I believe, was the trade that they did to get Bowen Byram in the first place. Byram, he didn't have a place in Colorado because they had all these stud defensemen that they had to pay. Devon Taves, obviously Kale McCarr. But Byram on the Sabres, a team that's really struggled. I don't know if he's part of their future, but he is on the trade block right now, according to all the stuff I read. So I'd love to bring him in. I think he'd be a good fit for Pittsburgh. Left shot defenseman. Again, very young, a guy we can develop. Salary's not anything crazy. But yeah, I think he'd be a good fit, a good impact player, especially if the Penguins are going to let go of Pettersson at the end of the season. This is a left shot defenseman that can really slide in there and take his spot. I really like Bowen Byram. So I think building for the future, getting these young defensemen that can continue to develop for the Pens and just be impact players down the stretch, I think is really important. And then the last guy on my wish list, and this is the biggest if of all of them, you're going to have to give up the most to get him, Mike Matheson. A former Penguin, a guy that never should have left, a guy that we never should have let leave, and I would love to have him back. I know it's a big wish. This is my Christmas wish, though, is to bring Mike Matheson back to Pittsburgh. His salary's, the most of all the guys I just mentioned, and it is a pipe dream, if you will, for us to bring back Mike Matheson, but he's on the trade block. He's available. Who knows? Maybe Dubas can make some magic happen and bring Mike Matheson back to Pittsburgh. I'd love to see it. So he's the biggest fish on my wish list, but I'd love to have him back. So Mike Matheson, obviously the other guys I mentioned, Desharnais, Ferraro, Cody Ceci, and Bowen Byram, any of them would be upgrades for the Penguins on the defensive end. And I would love to see any of them brought in. Honestly, I think any of them would make the team better. And that's the main concern right now is the defense. Mike Matheson would make this team a lot better, a lot scarier than they already are. The way we're playing right now, let's take advantage of this core. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, give them one last shot at it. And that means, yes, you might have to part ways a couple draft picks, but I'm not saying trade the farm. I'm not asking for some big fish. I'm not saying let's go out there and get, something crazy that's not realistic. I think Mike Matheson is the farthest up you can go while still being realistic. So I would love to see him come back to Pittsburgh. Whatever it takes to get him, I'm all for it. And Mike Matheson, one of my favorite defensemen in the league. Again, it might be a pipe dream, but I love Mike Matheson. I'd love to see him in black and gold again. It would be a Christmas wish for me, a Christmas miracle, if we could get Matheson back or any of those other guys like Byram or Desharnais or Ferraro or Cody Ceci to help this defense. I mean, we got PO now. Let's bring in one more guy, and then I feel happy because I still want to replace Ryan Graves. That's mainly what this is about, is replacing Ryan Graves. That guy is terrible. No offense, Ryan Graves. You haven't been what we needed. So let's replace Ryan Graves, please. Just that's all we need, Dubas. One more defenseman. We already have Karlsson, Letang. Grzelcyk's kind of proven himself to me a little bit now. Obviously, Pettersson's going to be coming back. I'm not sold, though. I'm not completely sold on this defense. I think we need to replace Graves. And then if that means replacing Grzelcyk as well, I don't know. P.O. Joseph can play, and I'd like to see him in the lineup on a regular basis. Owen Pickering, as soon as he's not a regular in the lineup, he needs to be in the AHL because he does need to continue to develop. His playing time needs to continue to be up there, and I think the AHL gives him the best opportunity to do that. Keep him for now, but when Pettersson comes back, that's when Pickering needs to go back to the AHL, and then he can come back up when the season's over in Wilkes-Barre, and he can help us out in the playoffs. But right now, I think the focus is developing Owen Pickering, and then obviously Marcus Pettersson's not okay right now. We don't know how long he's going to miss. So Pickering is a perfect player to have in that spot for now and kind of reserving that spot, keeping his seat warm for when he comes back, because Marcus Pettersson, arguably our most important defenseman other than Kris Letang. I would even argue he's more important to the team than Erik Karlsson. While he's out, Owen Pickering, it's your time, bro. Step up and do what you can do. Show us what you can do. And you got a spot on the team next year as far as I'm concerned, especially if we don't re-sign Marcus Pettersson. So this is big for the Pens to make this right. And I think they need just one more defenseman. Any of the guys I mentioned would be okay. Ride the heat wave. What I mean by riding the heat wave is this team has been hot. This team's been playing some really good hockey. Let's ride that into Nashville. Let's beat the Predators. But obviously the Predators have not had a season that they could really want to remember either. The Penguins started off rough. The Predators started off even more rough. They still are one of the worst teams in the NHL right now, and I'll get to that in a little bit. As far as underrating this team and not letting it get to your head like, oh, this is one of the worst teams in the league, they still have some really good players. They spent big in free agency. They knew they were going to try to compete this year, and just because it hasn't worked out for them doesn't mean that they're not still trying to win hockey games. They're not just going to throw in the towel after they just paid Steven Stamkos and Brady Shea and Jonathan Marchessault. So I wouldn't expect that. I expect them to give it their best, and they want to turn their season around too. It's not over. It's a long 82-game season, and they're only 30 couple games in. So I expect them to come out firing. And here's what Mike Sullivan said about the team right now. About the Penguins, right now, the guys they're believing, I'm happy for them because we've gone through a difficult stretch here early in the year. We've kind of dragged ourselves back into the mix, and that's exactly what's happened. The Penguins have played really good hockey, and they're right back in the mix, right where we need them to be, right where we want to be at this point in the season, and Nashville is trying to do the same thing. They're trying to go on a run right now. They got one of the best goalies in the NHL, Juuse Saros, so don't count them out. They could go on a run and get themselves right back in it, just like the Penguins did. We just don't want to be the team that helps them get back in a rhythm, because that could be a scary team come playoff time. The Nashville Predators, as good defensively as they are, if Stamkos and Marchessault get going, Phil Forsberg, obviously a dynamic goal scorer, but yeah, just don't take anything for granted. The boys are playing good right now. Let's ride that wave and right into Nashville and take them out. As you look at the playoff odds right now, Devils obviously with a nearly 100% chance to make the playoffs. Same with the Hurricanes and the Maple Leafs. But the Penguins are on the list now, guys. They're there. 14% chance of making the playoffs. I think it should be higher. I think we're getting in. I know I'm being wishful thinking here, but I think we're getting in. And we keep playing hockey like we have been. This is a good team. Don't count us out. So we're on the list. We have a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Yes, I am. I'm saying there's a chance. 1 point out right now. Do not underestimate Nashville. I already kind of spoke about that. This team is one of the worst teams statistically in the National Hockey League this year, but you cannot take anything for granted. They're going to play hard. They're going to be ready to go. Brunette's going to have them ready to go. So we need to be ready to play against Roman Josi, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Phil Forsberg, and especially Juuse Saros. Saros is one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League. His numbers back it up even this year. As bad as that team has struggled, they're a tough team to put goals on. They're a tough team. So I'm not counting them out at all. I'm saying do not take this game for granted and think, oh, we got this in the bag, because we do not have this in the bag at all. This is a decent hockey club, despite their record being very underwhelming this season. And the numbers will tell you that as well. Actually, here's a fun fact. The Penguins are underdogs in this game. Nashville minus 165 to win tonight. Tristan Jarry was confirmed to be the starting goalie for the Penguins. Not Nedeljkovic. It's Jarry back in the net for Pittsburgh, a guy we need to continue to play at a high level because Saros is going to. It's a foregone conclusion that Juuse Saros is going to be on his game every time you play the Nashville Predators. That's one of the things you do have to worry about. The problem with Nashville is not their goaltending, it's not their defense, it's their offense. And if you look at this graphic, the Penguins have the most goals allowed in the league. The most in the entire NHL. Guess what? Nashville has the least goals scored in the entire NHL. So that makes for a very good hockey game, a very interesting matchup. Penguins defense has struggled, and Nashville's offense has struggled. So it makes it a scary matchup, and the odds makers believe in Nashville at minus 165. So don't take this game for granted. We still have to play our best hockey. We have to play our brand of hockey, the way we've been playing. Ride that heat wave. Do not underestimate this team. They are still a very good hockey team. They were in the playoffs last year, and they gained Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea. So don't think that they're out of it yet. They could go on a run and do the same thing Pittsburgh did. We were struggling too. We were right there with them. Not as bad as them, but we were there. And then boom, 10-game stretch, win 7 out of 10. Bang, you're right back in it. So let's just continue believing in our team, riding this wave. We have P.O. Joseph now to help us out. Let's make another move on defense, Kyle Dubas. I showed you who you can go after. And then Pittsburgh, just beat Nashville. Let's just keep this wave going. We got Philly on Monday, New Jersey on Saturday. Those are 2 divisional games. So let's beat Nashville. Let's go into New Jersey and show them who's boss. It's a real measuring stick game on Saturday against the New Jersey Devils. But first, we got to get through Nashville. If we go into New Jersey on the road feeling bad after we lose to Nashville, then, you know, this is a 2-game road trip. We go back home on Monday against Philly. Let's go 3-0. Let's go 3-0, and let's keep this ball rolling. Let's get in that playoff picture, and let's stay there. The team is playing their best hockey all season. We just got a spark, shot in the arm with P.O. Joseph coming back to Pittsburgh. I'm feeling really good about this team right now, guys. Jari's back in the net tonight. Jari versus Saros. Really good goaltending matchup. Let's keep it going. We got the momentum on our side. Playing Nashville in their home. Not going to be easy at Bridgestone Arena. Let's get the job done, all right? So tonight's game is going to be fireworks. Like I said, could be a defensive matchup with Saros and Jari. I'm not going to make an actual prediction, but Penguins are the underdog. So let's cover as the underdog in Nashville on the road, and then let's hit New Jersey hard on Saturday. We're going to have another video for you tomorrow reacting to the game, some key takeaways of the game tonight against Nashville, and then we'll be right back with a preview of New Jersey and a reaction to that game as well. We're going to keep flooding content on this Penguins channel as the Penguins are playing every other day. It's great. I love it. Let's keep doing it. So we'll see you guys on the next episode of Penguins Digest. We appreciate you watching our videos, and almost all of you are not yet subscribed to the channel, so please hit that sub button, and we will keep you up to date on the latest Penguins content, including more trades. Maybe Kyle Dubas will make some more magic happen. You never know. Never count that out, because I wasn't expecting P.O. Joseph, and here he is. So one more thing to be excited about with Penguins hockey this season, and we'll see you on the next episode of Penguins Digest.